Hi, this is Joanne Factor with Strategic Living, Safety, and Self Defense Training, coming to you from the glorious Emerald City, otherwise known as Seattle, Washington. Today I'm going to talk about red flags and how to fix them. Red flags, those warnings that something is amiss. People also refer to it as trusting your gut feelings, listening to your intuition, paying attention to your instincts. And that's recognizing boundary violations. And you feel uncomfortable. The whole thing about a red flag is recognizing that feeling of discomfort. We know what that feels like. And we also sometimes, and some of us not just sometimes, but often, try to sweep those feelings aside. Have you ever ignored feelings of discomfort? Have you ever ignored red flags? How does that usually turn out? Why do so many of us ignore them? Well, I think a large part is that most of us, most of the time, want to get along with other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. We want to get along with neighbors, coworkers, family, clients, coaches, acquaintances, friends. A lot of us also feel that the red flag in question, that little snippet of behavior or words that jolted us into this questioning mindset, is so small that it's insignificant. And besides, different people have different ideas of boundaries, right? Maybe we don't want to come across as like paranoid or rude or inconsiderate or selfish. Um, and we think that's just this other person's particular boundary. Now, not everyone with different boundaries mean harm. In fact, most don't, though some do. And how do you tell the difference? That is the $64,000 question. And in the beginning, you don't. It's really hard to determine if that slight boundary bump was inadvertent or a deliberate boundary test as you're getting to know someone. However, what you can rely on is that feeling of discomfort. That's what's important. It's significant. And you are entitled to have your own boundaries. So, in my self defense classes, I often ask students what they're currently doing to keep themselves safer. Most answer along the lines of not going out alone at night, or parking their car in a well lit space, or locking doors or windows, or carrying pepper spray, or making sure that their friends and family know where they are, or keeping their keys in their hand at the ready. And most actions that people take to keep themselves safer involve threats from strangers, which, is great. And except that, especially women, most women are far more likely to be assaulted by someone they know. Someone who's done that boundary testing. They did their homework. They did boundary testing to make sure you'd be a good victim. Well, how do you not be a good victim? That's kind of challenging. Let's look at it. How do you stay safer with people you know? By setting your boundaries when you feel those red flags creeping up. And that might seem uncomfortable. It is. And remember, you do have boundaries with everyone, even your family, closest family, and your best friends. And having boundaries with people is healthy. You have different boundaries with different people, even if they're like small boundaries, little boundaries. And you set boundaries with people you know in a matter of fact manner with confidence. People who are manipulative hate having boundaries set on them. So you might experience a bit of pushback to see if those boundaries are real. So don't just set arbitrary boundaries. Keep them real as you set them and set them. So what do you use to set them with? You use your voice. Now, it's a really good idea, I think, to verbally articulate your boundaries. Use your body language along with it. Your voice and your body language work together. Take up more of your space bubble. Use your arms and hands to take up that space in front of you, off to the side. Talk with your hands. Stand up straight. Good eye-to-face contact. So, I'm looking at you, but don't stare at that person. Okay, like when you have a face-to-face conversation with a person, you're not staring at them all the time. Somebody who stares at you all the time is kind of creepy, and really creepy. Okay? Good eye-to-face contact involves looking away once in a while, looking back, looking away, looking back, but not looking away frantically. And when you're setting a boundary, you might not have to smile at that person. Very often, maybe you shouldn't. Okay? In my classes, I ask students who they want to smile at. Responses are generally, I want to smile at my family, I want to smile at my best friends, I want to smile at my pets, at small children. Overall, people want to smile at people they like and people they want to encourage. Now, if you're setting a boundary to discourage a specific behavior, you probably don't want to smile at that person. It can send a mixed message with your words saying, no, stop doing that, but your tone of voice saying, well, maybe that's okay, or maybe take a slightly different approach, but try harder, or maybe even try to convince me a little more and you'll get to yes. You want your words and your body to be congruent, to work together. And use your feet. Control the distance between you and the other person. If someone is standing too close to you during a conversation, you can step back. Very often, if that person, especially if they didn't mean harm, might come in because now they're feeling there's a kind of larger gap. When you step back, talk with your hands. Bring them in front of you. Gesticulate. And that occupies that space. Okay? So that reserves it for you. Now, sometimes students worry about making the other person angry or losing that relationship, or maybe retaliation, gossip, things like that. Actually, I did a survey of students recently, and it seems that most people are concerned about losing the relationship or making the other person angry. I think of it this way. If someone told me that I was standing a bit too close during a conversation, I would probably feel a little embarrassed that my actions made someone that I profess to care about kind of uncomfortable. And I would keep that in mind because, I like being liked by people I like. Now, how about you? That being said, sometimes setting new boundaries in old relationships will come with pushback and discomfort, as the other person may be left wondering, hey, are you trying to end this relationship? What's going on? And there's a bit of a feeling of a loss going on. Now, it might take some emotional effort, some back and forth, communication of intent, and even some justification. But as a result, you're very likely to end up with better boundaries and better relationships. So this is Joanne Factor with Strategic Living Safety and Self-Defense Training. We are offering classes in how to set boundaries. So just look in the description of this video for my website, and hopefully we'll see you signing up for a class. Stay safe, live life.